Okay, just testing my sound, making sure everything sounds right. Testing. We're a little early, like 3 minutes early. So I'm just going to wait a little bit. Thank you for liking the live. I see there's one person in here. Hi. Thank you. I appreciate it. And if I'm looking to the side, it's because I have another screen. And so I want to be able to read comments. And I also have some notes because there's been a lot going on. It's been a crazy week. And I just thought I would jump on here, figure out how to do a live because last time it didn't go swimmingly. I wasn't able to figure out the orientation, and now I'm able to figure that out. As you can see, it's a lot more organized and things are looking better. Just trying to figure out my lighting here. I don't know if that's better. It looks good. Oh, and then I have lighting here. Kind of gives me like a bluish tint. I don't know. But we're going to start pretty soon here. I just wanted to talk about what we're going to talk about today is just things that really frustrate me on my road to 1 million. On my road to 1 million. As you guys know, sorry. I don't know if these, I don't know. On my road to 1 million, as you guys know, I am trying to reach 1 million net worth by the time I am retirement age. And it's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on that's very frustrating. As you guys know, this journey, your financial journey, is just very isolating, very isolating. You know, people don't always see what you see. They don't necessarily see your vision or even take you seriously. And so that's just some of the things that I am having to deal with, especially lately. I find that as you become more successful at it or, start reaching your goal more, I guess waking up rather, things just don't seem as ideal as you thought they would be before you got to the point that you're at now. So I figured because when I look at personal finance content on YouTube and, TikTok, Instagram and all that, people don't always show every side of the journey. They show, their wins and a few losses, not necessarily in real time. And I mean, you guys, this journey is real. This is real. This is happening. And it's real life. And so that's why I wanted to talk today about things that frustrate me on my financial journey. There's a few. I wrote down some notes here. There's 4 things. I'm not going to be on here too long. There's 4 things. The first one, distractions, right? Distractions. There are so many ways that you can become distracted on a financial journey. And I've learned that you really are in control of what you allow to distract you on this journey, right? So for me, I am still to this day struggling with boundaries, staying focused, ignoring the noise. I still struggle with that. And that's also what is just kind of got me frustrated and just feeling, what's the word? Demotivated, I guess. I know when you guys see my curated content, I seem, determined and stuff like that. And I am when I film those videos, but there's just a lot that goes into it that people don't see. And distractions is one of the main ones. So there's different types of distractions. The first one, let's start off mild, right? Because there's some things in here that I feel like if people actually see this live and they know me in real life, they might be a little bit annoyed at me and mad that I'm bringing things up. But like, let's start mild. So the first one, corporations, right? You hear everybody say that, corporations. The advertising, the constant advertising, you can't say iPhone 16 in a room full of electronics without then seeing an ad for an iPhone 16 on your phone or on Facebook or even LinkedIn. Even LinkedIn is doing it, guys. I had to delete LinkedIn because I would say things and then see them on LinkedIn. And also, I'm just getting to a point where I'm tired of not being able to get onto social media or watch television or Netflix or anything like that. And I'm just bombarded with advertisements. And I don't know if it's just me. Am I the only one sick of it? I don't know because I don't hear people complain about it. But like, I tried watching cable television the other day, and I swear, for a 30-minute show, really it's like a 23-minute show, but it's in a 30-minute slot. You're watching 2 to 3 minutes of television, and then you're getting 5 minutes of advertisements every 2 minutes. It's very overstimulating, super annoying. You can't get into the story. Like, literally, you can't even get up to get a drink or a snack without it being interrupted with an advertisement. It's just so freaking annoying. Even like when you're listening to music, everyone just wants you to buy things, and it's like I get it, right? You're trying to make money. Just it's always at other people's expense. It's super annoying. Super annoying. So that's one distraction that I just find to be super annoying, that gets on my nerves. When you're trying to save money, everybody just wants to sell you things. Even if you're going to spend money, like, what's a good example? When we're going to buy a new computer, my husband needed a new computer. He wanted an Apple, so that he could develop some of his coding. His coding. When we go there, they want to make sure you don't want to take out a line of credit. Then they want to make sure you don't want to put it on a payment plan. Then they want to make sure that you don't want to buy the warranty. And all of this would be fine if they asked you one time, you were like, no, no, thanks. And they left it at that. But some of them even try to guilt you into buying the freaking warranty. And it's like, I'm not spending another $200 to $300 on a warranty when, if it breaks, we'll just get another computer. But like, we're not doing crazy things with these things to where we're going to need this warranty. It's just, I'd rather just take my chances. But they literally start to get annoyed. Like, you can't go to certain stores without them asking if you want a credit card, and you say no and they have to say yes multiple times, and it's just like, stop asking. Like, I get it, your managers tell you need to ask 3 times. Bring them out so I can tell them to leave me alone. Like, I'm just not in the mood. So yeah, corporations, super annoying, getting on my nerves. Just, it gets to me. It gets to me. And the other distraction that I've noticed, especially this week, is people who people people who get in the way of your goal. And these aren't for people that aren't aware of what you're trying to do. This is more for people who, they know you're on a journey, they know what you're trying to do, and they still make a point to try to just veer you off of your course, right? So for me, I'm not going to talk about what happened this week, but just in general, like, say you're on a diet and you're trying not to eat certain things, and your friends are always like, let's go to brunch, let's go out to eat, let's do this and that. And you go there, and you have a set diet. So you're like, okay, I'm going to eat whatever chicken plate there is, whatever salad there is. And then the whole night they're just pressuring you to, just one drink, one dessert. Why are you being such a stick in the mud? Just badgering. That's what I've been encountering, but with money. Let's go out, let's go shopping, let's do this. Oh, let's go on this trip. No, like, I'm telling you, I'm trying to reach a certain savings goal by a certain time. And this is my fault, right? Because you shouldn't tell, I guess, everybody what your goals are. You shouldn't be telling people what your goals are, period. But I've noticed that people who see you working towards a goal and getting there, it's almost like a personal mission, right? Like they really want it to not go your way. Like they want to make sure to steer you off your path. And the biggest part of this that makes me mad, especially when I'm trying to reach a goal, a financial goal, the biggest part of this that makes me mad is just the aspect of no not being taken for an answer. Like if there's not one thing that I can't stand the most in this world, it's someone who doesn't take no for an answer. Someone who doesn't take no for an answer, it drives me insane because, well, just being pushy in itself is rude, right? Like it's irritating. It's cringe. If I find myself being pushy, I cringe inside, right? But some of these people have no shame. They don't care. And then if it's someone that you care about, right? Someone in your life, like with me, it's hard. It's hard. And this is specifically for people who have come to you and you say no. This isn't for people who they don't know you're on a journey, they just want to hang out with you. That's different. But there are specific people in my life who know what I'm trying to do and they make a problem of it. They make a problem of it. They they kind of use the interaction as ransom. Like if you're not going to do what they're asking, then your relationship changes. And old me, right? Old me used to panic at this. Old people pleasing me used to panic at this because, I want to collect as many friends as possible. I want people to like me. 31-year-old me who has bills and, eventually wants to have a family and buy a house in this economy just kind of takes it personally because it's like, can you not? Can you not? It's just so rude. I don't know. It's very unempathetic. And that's, yeah, the first thing that's been really frustrating me on my journey is the distractions between people and corporations. Just, it makes me want to lay in the bed and just hide from the economy. So that's where I'm at with that. That is my first distraction. That is my first point out of the four. And I want to thank the two people that are in here. Hi. Hi. I don't know if you were in my last live, just as an aside. I don't know if you were in that last live where I was doing my budget. Um, it was a disaster. It was a disaster. I didn't know how to work the orientation and I rushed through it because I was so nervous. I'd never done it before. So if you were in that, I hope this one is a lot better. I hope it's more organized seeming. But I'm glad you guys are here. So thank you for being here. And feel free to leave anything in the chat if you feel like you want to. But if not, it's fine too, if you're shy. But again, thank you guys for being here. Okay, number two, you guys have heard me gripe about this multiple times, but people asking for money, right? So this is a tricky one because people are going to ask you for money. And if it's family or friends, you want to help them and that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with people needing help. Like, that's life. Things happen. People needing help. I want people who know me in real life to ask me for help if they need it because I'm there for people, right? And things happen and I would want the same if I needed help. I'd want to be able to reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm in a really tough spot," and then pay it forward. I even have a category in my budget towards giving because I do think that's very important. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today if people were not gracious towards me when I needed it, especially specifically in college when my family was going through homelessness. So I definitely feel a need. I definitely feel a need to give back. I think it's important. Where my issue is that there are people around you, and it's not just for me. There are people who are going to see your kindness and they're going to take advantage. They will pull on your heartstrings or your conscience and guilt trip you into becoming a recurring payment. They'll put you on a payment plan. The audacity of some people to feel entitled to your money over and over again. And I'm not talking about like short on rent, you really need help. And then the next month, you're still short, you really need help, right? That is not what I'm talking about. When you need legitimate help, you're desperate, that's different. And you can always tell a difference. You can always tell a difference. There is someone in my life who needed help a few times this past year. They never ask for help. They never ask for anything. They didn't even want to put a number on it because they're so uncomfortable with asking for help to where I gave them a number, right? That's different. And you can tell when someone is being sincere and when they're trying to finesse you. Now I can tell. I didn't used to be able to. I would just believe whatever people told me. So there was this one instance, I'm going to be honest, where someone in my life needed help. And the person needing help wasn't the issue, but they asked someone else for help. And that person steered them away from asking who they were going to initially for help and told them, you would have a better chance at getting this help if you asked. And then they said my name. They were like, you would get it. You would probably get it if you asked Bo. You would have a better chance of getting help if you asked Bonita. I don't think you should ask this person. You should ask her instead. And they told me they said this. The person who did this told me they said it. And I'm like, why would you offer me up like that? Like, why would you do that? If they're going to ask someone else, why would you not let that person tap into all of their resources? It's like you see me as the one who needs to bear that, right? You don't want to burden this other person or you don't want to bother this other person, but me, I can be bothered. Like, feel free. It's so weird to me. That's so weird. And it's rude. I don't know. It just made me, I wasn't necessarily like pissed off about it, but it was off putting a little bit. I was off put. When people ask for money over and over again, and it becomes like a you being taken advantage of situation, it's almost like you become a lifeline, right? So I've noticed that when people get comfortable asking you for help, they won't even tap into the resources that they have for themselves, right? So say you needed a maintenance on your scooter or like your motorcycle and you blew a tire. And so, you have some savings, right? A tire is like what, $400, $500, and you have 2,500 in your savings, but you don't want to dip into your savings. So then you go to someone and ask them for money because you really need it, right? That's what I've been in. That's what I've encountered. Like people aren't going to zero first. They're That's their last step, is to use their own reserves. Their first step is to ask people for money. So that I don't know. I don't know. I would feel guilty doing that, right? Another one that I've noticed, another one that I've fell for, if we're being honest, is the person who will ask multiple people for money periodically and they'll just collect money so that they have it for when they need it. And this is something that I was not aware of until I was informed in the middle of last year, where, you'll have a friend or a family member come to you, and it's always a few times a year around the same times, and they ask for a weird amount, right? So it's not like, oh, I'm like $200 short on this bill or on my rent, but it'll be something like, can I have $500 or less? $500 or less. And it's like that puts the ball in your court. Like they're not comfortable asking you for a specific amount, but also it tells me that you don't have a specific amount. Like how much are you short? Because if I ask you how much you need and you're like, "Well, how much can you give?" or you're like, "This amount or less." Like, okay, but 0 is less, right? So clearly you don't want $0. You don't want $1. So if you're not able to give an amount, that tells me too that you're just collecting payments like we're in church. I had a friend who would ask me for money periodically. And by periodically, I mean it was so calculated because this person would ask me for money and then I wouldn't hear from them at all. And then come the next year, they would ask me for money again. And this last time that it happened, I checked my text messages just to see. I typed in, can I have, right? And it popped up. And it was exactly a year apart to the day that I was asked for this money. And I was like, And I've been really practicing with saying no. And when you say no, you hear from them less, right? So that happened. And I'm hoping that just one no would make it so that people don't ask me anymore, because I've also noticed that in specific friend groups, there are some friends who people feel okay asking for money, right? In specific friend groups, some people will be okay to ask you for money, but they don't want certain people in the friend group to know that they're asking you for money. And they would also never ask certain people in their friend groups for money because certain people would cut you off if you ask them for money, right? You want proximity to these people. Whereas me, I'm not going to cut you off if you need help, right? Because of my background. So you just go to me. And it's like, maybe you shouldn't be friends with those people if you feel like they're going to stop talking to you because you fell on hard times. Like life happens, right? But after a while, it's like, so do you look down on me? Are you looking down on me? Like, you're clearly not desperate, because if you really needed it, you would ask that person that you thought would cut you off. But yeah, so I had the person, asking for money, and then they would wait exactly 1 year and then ask me again. Which, when I saw that, I was like, what the heck? Another thing that's a red flag when people ask you for money, I'm sorry, I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes, is that they're not necessarily willing to answer questions, right? So I'm not saying that I need to know your full lending history and your social security number, but I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I had a family member. This was in 2018. I was on vacation. I was 25, I believe. And I had a family member, an elder in my family, ask me how much I pay in rent. That's what it was. I got a call. I was in Mexico. I was sick. I felt so sick because I drank water. And I got this call from an elder in my family, someone who, you're supposed to look up to. They're supposed to be there for you. I got this call and they said, "Hey, how much do you pay in rent?" Mind you, we barely speak. We speak maybe twice a year. I call this person for their birthday and Christmas. I call this person for their birthday and Christmas. That's how we keep in touch. This person doesn't call people. And again, this was my elder. So it's not a sibling, it's not a cousin. This is my elder. Not my mom. I'll give you that hint too. It wasn't my mom. But how much do you pay in rent? I was like, I'm not telling you, right? And then they ask again, how much do you pay in rent? But like with more authority. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there are certain family dynamics and family structures, filial structures in certain demographic groups that, you know, any dissent to what someone asks you is seen as disrespect to your elders. So when they come back with authority and they're like, how much do you pay in rent? Right? 25-year-old me is like, okay, tell them, right? I don't want them to be mad at me. So I told this person, I told them how much I pay for my portion of rent. Something told me not to tell them how much I actually had to pay. At the time, my rent was 1900. I was living in Chicago. But I told them my portion, which was it wasn't even half. I think it was like it might have been like $800 around there. So this person was like, "Well, I need half of what you pay in rent." Actually, no, I told them 1400. I told them 1400. They said, "I need half of that. I need you to give me half of what you pay in rent." Which again, they could have just been like, "Hey, I need $800. Can you give me $800?" They didn't say that. They just said, "How much do you pay in rent?" And whatever the number is, they want half of that. Which what makes you think I have an excess at 25? I was making $45,000 a year, maybe $48,000 a year. What makes you think I have an excess of more half of my rent? um so then I told this person, I was like, I mean, sure, I guess I can give you $800. What do you need it for? So that's where the issue comes. I asked them what they needed for, and then that's private information. That's none of your business. Don't pry, right? And it's just like, you're asking me how much my rent is, but I can't ask you what you need the money for. So, like, the respect just isn't, I mean, with the dynamic of that relationship, the power dynamic, the respect isn't equal, right? But me having boundaries, right? Respecting people's boundaries, I'm like, okay, you're not going to tell me. That's fine. I was like, okay, so then give me your email so I can Zell it to you. So I think it was called Quick Pay back then. So I can quick pay it to you. If you give me your email, I'll send you a quick pay. And this person said, oh, my bank doesn't have quick pay. My bank doesn't have Zelle. And my husband, my boyfriend at the time, he was hearing this conversation and he quickly Googled, because we know what bank that person used. And immediately it was like, it was like enroll in Zelle at blank blank bank, right? So I'm like, not only are you being secretive about why you need me to give you half of my rent, but then you're also lying to me. You're also lying to me. This is someone in my family, you guys. This is an elder. I'm just gonna be honest. It was my dad, you guys. It was my dad. My dad did this. He did this. And he was like, yeah, I don't have Zelle. I'm gonna need you to um, give it to me a different way, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe I could wire it to you, or if you give me your bank account number, there's a way that I could figure that out, right? I could wire it to you or something like that. And he was like, no, you can't wire it to me. There's issues with my bank. And that's what the other person said too, who had asked me a year apart. They were like, my Cash App is this. I was like, I don't have Cash App, but I can Zelle you. I can Zelle you. And they're like, oh, I'm having some fraud issues with my bank. It's always fraud issues with the bank and they need it in a different way. And I don't quite understand. But I purposefully don't download Cash App for that reason. If you don't have Zelle, I'm not giving you money. I'm not giving you money because I don't trust it. I don't want to have another financial app attached to me, right? So my dad was like, no, um, don't wire it to me. Get it out of an ATM. So he wanted me to go to Chicago. I'm in Chicago. He wanted me to go to an ATM and take out $800 and give him cash in 2018. I mean, there was more cash back then than there is now, right? But I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I told him, I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. And he was like, well, I'm going to be coming down there. So I'll come and get it so that you don't have to be uncomfortable going to the ATM. I'll be with you when you pull it out. So then I was like, fine, I guess. I was like, that's fine. And then I hung up because I was on vacation. So when I got back from vacation, mind you, I don't know why, but whenever you're flying from Mexico to Dallas Fort Worth, there's always tornadoes that like traumatize you on the way in, and that's what happened. We were stranded at Dallas overnight. We had to rent a car first thing in the morning and drive 17 hours from Dallas to Illinois. Stopped in my hometown with my mom and then drove the rest of the way there. So that's what happened. I told my dad this. I was like, yeah, a lot of stuff's going on. The plane almost crashed. Like, there's a lot going on. And he was just like, LOL. He didn't care. I'm like, okay. Also, before we went on vacation, I was wanting to spend time with him for Father's Day. It was around June. And I asked him, I was like, hey, are you going to come up, you know, to Chicago for Father's Day? Because he was always coming up to Chicago. And he was like, yeah, I'll do that. He ended up not being able to. He said he couldn't, so he didn't, which is fine. And so I was like, okay, cool. I mean, it was a nice sunny day, June, beautiful, 2018, right? But he was like, that's fine. I'm not going to do it. When it was time for me to give him this money, though, it was nighttime, it was raining, and it was November. And he was going to ride, I don't know what he was going to ride, if it was his motorcycle or a car. But I was just kind of like, so you're willing to come up here for money, for cash, but you didn't want to hang out with me for Father's Day. Like, that's crazy. I just noticed these things when people ask me for things. It's just people don't care about me, guys, basically. Or at the time, I don't know, he was going through something. And I mean, we've since talked about this, and our relationship is a lot better now. But back then, I felt a little slighted. And so I was just telling him, I was like, look, I have bills to pay myself. Like, my husband had just gotten rid of his car. He had just like sold a lot of his stuff. And we were doing that to like save money, get some extra money. And when he was done, when it was all said and done, and he had, sold all of his stuff, and we got rid of the car, we were riding our bikes to work, sweating, all of that. We had a surplus of $800, exactly $800. And so for him to be like, oh yeah, I just need $800, right? It was like divine. So I was just telling him, I was complaining kind of a lot. I was like, I don't really want to take it out of the ATM. Like, you're kind of making it hard for me. Why can't you just let me Zelle you? Like, I don't feel comfortable going to the ATM. I don't want to. It's nighttime. I don't want to. I don't want to meet you at night. It's raining. I'm tired. I had a long day of work. And his response was, if you don't got it, just say so. If you don't got it, just say so. And it was at that moment, I think that's when I learned that some people only see you as a means to an end, right? That's how I was feeling at the time about my dad. At the time. I don't feel like that anymore, but at the time. He was like, if you don't got it, just say so. So I was like, you know what? I don't got it. I don't got it. I don't got it. I don't got it. I said no. And it was the most uncomfortable thing that I feel like I've had to do. One of the most uncomfortable things. I've done a few, but that was one of the most uncomfortable things, because for multiple reasons that I don't really want to get into, I felt guilty not giving him the $800. He ended up figuring it out. I don't know how, but our relationship is fine. He never talks about it. We have a great relationship now, so he figured it out, which is great. But it was just, that was one of the weirder instances of people asking me for money. When other people do it, like the person who calculates 365 days and then will, ask. That one was a little bit easier to navigate because it wasn't like a family member. So I was just like, no, I don't have it. Sorry. And hopefully I never, get asked that again. The third thing that really just frustrates me when I'm on my financial journey is recurring bills, right? and how they all eventually increase over time. So for me, recently, Netflix has increased by like $1. I already pay for an account for me, and then also someone else in my family. So I'm gonna be paying close to $30 a month now, which is fine, right? I budget for 30. It's like $27, I think. My blog, it also went up $1 and some change. And that one's not as annoying because it's been the same price since I launched my blog in 2018. So that one's not as annoying. And I understand now with everything going on how some things do need to increase in price. And then the other thing was rent, right? So I've started to notice that my rent increases every year, right? And it just so happens to always be, sorry, let me just do this really quick. It just so happens to always be the same amount that I get in a raise every single year. I've noticed this at my last apartment. So this apartment we moved into, I think last May. And our last apartment, it was pretty nice. You guys probably remember that background. It started to fall apart. Like the elevators weren't working very well at all. There were, I think, two elevators, maybe three, and they were not, pardon me, they were not able to handle the amount of people that were living in that apartment. It was a big apartment, 40 plus, no, 30, I think 34 floors. A lot of people living in there. And those elevators were always broken. They were not able to order parts for weeks at a time. People that are, elderly on floor 26 having to go downstairs, being stranded, not being able to get food. No concessions for this, right? No rent decrease, no nothing. No food service, nothing. Um Also the front door stopped working, so there was no, the fobs didn't work for the front door. It was just unlocked. And when you asked the staff this, they said, "Oh yeah, we already know," right? But they didn't tell anyone. They didn't tell us. So it was like they were trying to keep it a secret. And then the last thing that really would bother me about this too, this apartment, was that, part of it being luxury is that you get to use luxury amenities. And one of the luxury amenities, besides an elevator, and fob access that we specifically went to this apartment for. The other luxury amenity was that there was a trash chute on every floor. You could use that to throw your trash away. You could use it to throw recycling away. That trash chute was broken from the time we moved in until the time we moved out. They never fixed it. And we were at that place for 2 leases. While we were at that place, they still raised rent. We had to negotiate with them every year in order to keep the rent the same. The first time we negotiated, they were able to do it. The second time, they were like, "Oh, we can't do it, and it's gonna have to be $300 more." I'm like, "For what? You guys don't fix anything. Nothing's safe. The neighborhood's not, at the time, the neighborhood was not safe. It's a lot cleaner now. It's not safe. People can just walk in here, right? But you want a $300 raise, which just so happens to be how much more I was getting with my annual raise every month. So I'm never going to get to see an increase, right? In my savings, in my spending. I just have to give all of my increases to you, and you're not fixing the building. So that's why we ended up leaving. It was a last minute decision. And they had the nerve when we left to be like, "Is there any particular reason why?" Of course I lied. "Oh, we just wanted something new. We want something that works." So we ended up moving to this apartment, and while it is expensive, it ended up evening out and being the same as what we were, I think it was $20 less than what we were paying back there for a working elevator and working trash chutes and a door that locks, right? So that's another thing that really gets on my nerves, is just just the constant like wanting more payment, just more, but then you're not getting a good enough service in return. So that annoys me. I'm not going to lie. And my current apartment is doing it too. So we're going to have another $300 rent increase in May. And I haven't gotten my raise yet. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't even know if I'm getting one. As you guys know, the economy is a little bit crazy. And so it's just always $300. Like, so when I saw that, I was annoyed, but it's safe here. Like, they do take good care of the building. So I was like, fine. Um, we'll do it this time. But we have decided, and I haven't announced this yet. I haven't told anyone this yet, but we're definitely moving back to the Midwest. We can't buy a house in Seattle. Not only are the prices in Seattle insane, but your property's not protected. So it's just a big liability. It's just a big liability. So we will be moving back home to pastures that we know that are a little bit more affordable in due time. But until then, we will be giving our raises to our apartment. And it bothers me. It bothers me that they could just raise their rent and they're like, oh, it's for industry standard. We're just keeping up with the market. You don't have to, though. You would still make money if you didn't raise anybody's rent. Like, there's a lot of people who work at Amazon in here, Google, Apple. Like, you're getting money. You don't need more money. You have enough to upkeep the building. But I digress. So my last point, the last thing that really bothers me while I'm on my journey to financial freedom, this really frustrates me, and it's really bad online financial advice. And this is actually what prompted me to make this live. Bad financial advice, like, first of all, you're not even legally allowed to give financial advice, right? That's why you always see a disclaimer saying, I'm not an FDIC, you know, professional. I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a financial professional. And always talking about the risks that are coming with some of the things that I do in terms of investing and stuff like that. I am happy to share what I invest in and what I do in terms of my savings and my savings challenges. But it's always with the caveat that this is not advice. This is just what I'm doing. And this is for your entertainment. It's for your entertainment. I was scrolling through TikTok last night and I saw this girl. She made a video where she was like, you guys need to cash out your 401ks right now. You need to cash out your 401ks right now because you're going to lose all of your retirement by Tuesday because of what's going on in the world, right? Because of tariffs and stuff like that. And this person, looking at her, she looked around my age, maybe younger. She looked my age or younger. And she was advising people to cash out their 401ks. And that is just so crazy to me because, one, I could understand if you were like, I'm scared about what's going on in the world, right? I'm going to cash out my 401k. But when people come online with authority and they're like, you need to do this right now, and they like make you afraid, you need to do this right now. Otherwise, this is going to happen to your future. And then, like, you look at her and she doesn't look any older than 27. What do you know? Why are you telling people to do that? That could actually ruin people's lives. Telling them to take their money out of the market. Some of them have been invested in their 401ks or at their companies for 15 plus years. And because you said so, they should just cash it out. That's not having people's best interest. Why? Like, I couldn't help but think what this person's modus operandi was, right? Like, what are your intentions in telling people to cash out their 401ks? I promise you, she even said, if you can't cash it out, take a loan out against your 401k. Why would you tell somebody to do that? Why would you tell somebody to do that? She's like, the taxes are gonna hurt, but at least you'll have cash. But like you're taking your money out of the market, right? At a time where, it'd probably be more beneficial to buy more shares if it's cheaper. And then two, you want them to borrow against their 401k. They'll be penalized, tax penalized from it. And then on top of that, they'll have to pay that loan back. They'll have to pay that loan back. And where are they going to put 50 plus $1,000? They're going to put it in the bank? You think it's safer in the bank? I don't know. I saw that and I was like, there's no way that she actually believes that what she's telling people to do is actually for their benefit. And I really do feel like some people, get a kick out of just making people scared, right? Scaring people and causing chaos. Why are you doing that? Of all the things you can make, you're telling people to ruin their lives, basically. And it's like, what do you get out of that? That was the reason why I even wanted to make this live to begin with. When I saw that, it was just very outrageous to me. So those are the four things. Those are the four things that are frustrating me on my financial journey. And a lot of these things kind of, swirl around in my head and make me anxious, on the way to where I'm trying to get to. And it's a lot of the noise that you have to block out, right? So there are ways that I try to block out the noise. Maybe I can make that a different live, but that was all I had for today. I've been live for 46 minutes and 42 seconds. There have been people in and out of here. I really appreciate you guys being here and listening to me, and if you guys watch this in the replay, I'll leave a comment. Let me know, what are some things that are frustrating you when you're trying to do better with money? What are some things that you're encountering or that you've encountered that just really frustrate you when you're trying to just, get ahead? You're just trying to get one step ahead, and these things sort of become obstacles on your way. Let me know in the comments. And thanks again for those who watched live. And I will see you guys on Sunday in my next video. Thanks.